Thank you for sitting down with us for this interview. The first question is, what is your name?
My name is Myra Goldie.
And how long have you lived in Burlington or the area?
It will be 2 years this October. I grew up in Mount Pleasant, but moved away when I was 17 and found myself back in Southeast Iowa, October of 2023? Yes, 3.
Perfect. And what's your title?
So I wear a couple different hats. So I'm the executive director of the Capitol Theater. I'm the board president of B-Town Pride. I work at the hospital, and I'm also the CEO and founder of OMG Creative Agency.
What do you love most about this community?
So the thing that has stuck with me, and I always tell people that I am equal parts inspired and impressed and just in total awe and horrified, is just how many people volunteer their time to make things work here. And I've never been in a community of this size. I lived in the Czech Republic, in Prague. I lived in Los Angeles. So really large communities. And, you know, at 30,000, at this scale, you can actually see and know the people who are behind running things. And it's incredible. I mean, I've never realized how much just love, sweat, and tears goes into things that you think they run on their own. You know, when you're not in it, from an outsider perspective, it just looks like a well-oiled machine. And then when you look under the hood, you realize that this town is really built on the backs of a lot of people who really love it.
So the focus of this video is the question, what connects us? Mm-hmm. So what do you think of when you hear that question?
So my biggest thing is, I'm a very emotional person. And so the want and the yearning to be seen, to be understood, and to feel like you have a connection with others, I think is that thread. I mean, it doesn't matter if your worst pain is losing a loved one, or maybe you failed a test. I don't know. I think that baseline for our emotions can constantly be a sliding scale, and so the depths and the peaks of pain are what unite us. It's not necessarily the thing that gets us there, but it is that point. And so, you know, the hurt and the joy and love and laughter and fun and despair, and that is the human experience. And that's the thing that no matter where you come from, your race, your socioeconomic class, your upbringing, your family structure, your career, all of these different things that make us individuals, that is the one thing that we all share.
And how do you experience connection in your daily life?
Yeah, so I'm a talker. I love to chat with people and to learn about their stories and what they have gone through, because I truly believe that we can learn something from everyone. Some lessons are more fun to learn than others, but there's always something that you can glean. And so, yeah, like giving people the time of day and slowing down, that whole adage of stopping to smell the roses, mine is a reframe of that, where stop and talk to people. Because community and connection is what humanity is, and that is what makes life worth living a lot of the time. And so, yeah, like asking people how their day is and really meaning it, that earnestness, like that is where I derive a lot of connection from. And then the other thing is art, and the through line there is self-expression, right? And art is one of those equalizers where maybe I haven't lived this person's experience, but I can either apply my experience to that and connect to it, or empathize enough to understand something. And I think that those are the moments that make us grow and expand as people. And in my personal opinion, that's the whole point.
Can you share a specific moment when you felt deeply connected to someone or something?
Sure. So I had this epiphany moment on my 4th year anniversary of living in Prague. It was in the middle of the pandemic. The Czech Republic had taken COVID very seriously, and so for a while it was illegal to be outside without a mask on. You could only be up to 1 kilometer from the like necessary places, so grocery store, pharmacy, hospital, post office, you know. And so I was spending the most time in solitude that I had probably ever had. I lived alone. It was me and my cat Sophie. And it was in that time that I had the opportunity to really reflect on a lot of things and also see myself in a new light, because I am so social. Once that side of me had been stripped, it was really eye-opening, it was vulnerable, it was scary. I felt like I had lost a whole part of myself, and then I got to really understand that part of myself was just a part of myself. And so in kind of being stripped down to my individuality, that was when I also got to really put into perspective how big that part of myself was, you know what I mean? And so, I was sitting in my living room on my yoga mat because I had to have a project during COVID. And so my first project was, I'm gonna, learn how to do the splits. And so I'm stretching for like half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the afternoon, and then half an hour in the evening. And I had just finished, and I was sitting there just reflecting on my life and missing so many people in my life, missing my family. I had never felt how far that distance really was until suddenly there was no opportunity to visit, missing my friends who were just neighborhoods over, missing seeing someone working at the grocery store, those little tiny interactions that you have. And I sat on my yoga mat and I was really reflecting on all of that, and it just really hit me how interconnected we all are, because it, empathy like struck me in the head where I'm like, there's millions of people going through this right now. And so even though I'm here alone in my living room, I'm still sharing that experience with people around the globe. And so that really put my life and my suffering into perspective, and also put those tiny little moments of connection into perspective, and those deeper relationships in my life into perspective. So, there's always a silver lining from something, and so that was really what COVID gave me.
What role do diversity and inclusion play in fostering connection?
That is the base of it. Diversity and inclusion and equity, I mean, that to me is synonymous with empathy, because that's what humanity is. We're a fabric of all of these different people, all of these different cultures and experiences and paths. And so I can learn so much from anyone based on their experiences and what they've gone through. I mean, how boring would the world be if we all had the same experience? And so that is the flavor of life. And that's where we, like I said earlier, that's where we grow the most, is when we are challenged by others and when we learn something new from others. And that is the whole point. That's the whole point. And so it is just the best thing that could happen to us as the human race.
How do you see our community as a place where people come together?
Yeah, so Burlington's very lucky to have quite a lot of public spaces where they can come together. Going back to all of that volunteering, we have a lot of heavy lifters in this community who have made it a priority to provide these things to the community. The public library is a wonderful example. I mean, what a beautiful cornerstone of any community, and Burlington's very fortunate to have this exceptionally beautiful space. Of course, the Capitol Theater, I selfishly want to plug as a place for people to come together and celebrate, the performing arts, but also there's film, there's music, there's art, there's performance art, and then the art of a conversation. The art center itself is a great place where people can go and either immerse themselves in or take part in or just be an observer of art. We have a lot of really beautiful bars and restaurants that provide that as well. Downtown, that's that space where people can come together, and you're going to run into someone that, you know, either you weren't planning on seeing that day, or someone new, or eavesdropping and hearing like a fun new piece of information. I mean, that's what community is all about, is coming together, and downtown is the place for that. I mean, I moved away from Mount Pleasant in 2009. And, you know, Mount Pleasant was a town of maybe 8,000 people. And we would come to the big city of Burlington, and there wasn't a lot for us to do here, but it was more than Mount Pleasant, which isn't saying much, but it's saying something. And when I left the area, I thought, you know, I'm not going to miss it at all. There's nothing to miss. And then when life brought me back here, I was flabbergasted at how much it had transformed. And there have been some really wonderful human beings behind a lot of that movement. There's a lot of long-term vision that people have. There's a lot of care involved, people understanding what it takes to provide a quality of life, to provide those moments of connection, to provide invaluable resources. I mean, literacy and art, those are things that have been so important to humans throughout all of history. When you go to Rome, when you go to Athens, when you go to Cairo, those are the things that people see in museums. That has been here since the beginning of human history, and we still have it here, and it's alive and thriving, and that is something we're celebrating.
Absolutely. Is there a story, memory, or personal experience that illustrates what connection means to you?
Yes. So there was a man who had finally retired, had built up his entire, he had built up this massive company, we'll just say, his empire. He had built his empire. And finally he had retired in Cabo, and he was sitting from his resort on the balcony and looking down the beach, and there was a man down there casting a pole and just catching fish like crazy. And all day this man watched this guy at the beach catch all this fish, and finally he went down there and went, "What is your secret?" And this man said, "Oh, I made this hook, you know." And the guy was like, "Oh my God, you need to patent this. That's insane. I've never seen something like that." And the guy was like, "Why? Like, I don't need to. I'm good. Like, living my dream." And he was like, No. You don't get it. You don't get it. You take this hook, you bring it to America, we'll patent it, I'll set you up with these manufacturers, and we'll build this company, and you'll be able to grow it and make millions, and then by the time you'll be able to retire and fish on the beach." And then in that moment, it struck him that, oh my God, I have not been connected to what matters. And I think so often we get distracted by things that don't matter, because whether or not society or family, or again, going back to those feelings, I mean, everyone's felt inadequate or embarrassed or shame. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, those are drivers for decisions that derail our paths toward what matters, or at least our focus on what matters. And yeah, I always keep that in the back of my mind, because at the end of the day, when you're reflecting on your life, sure, there are certain things that money can buy, and there are certain things that notoriety and ego can bring you, but when you think about all of the best things in life, they're not material. They're people. It's time that you spend doing things that you enjoy, it's slowing down, and it's that makes life worth living.
Absolutely. And for a wrap up of the video, Can you share any final thoughts on what connects us, or any stories that you want preserved in the archive?
So I would like to add, growing up in Southeast Iowa, it was a place that I did not see myself in long term. It was a place where there wasn't a lot of diversity. Being queer was not something that was normalized. It was a very homogenous society, and to an extent it still is. However, one of the things that surprised me when I moved back was how that had shifted. And again, I cannot give enough credit to a number of people who have really moved that needle and have brought a lot of perspective, programs, education. They have brought empathy, understanding, started conversations, and created change. And so when we first did Pride on the Riverfront, we were all a little nervous. We weren't sure how it was going to be received. It was the first time that we'd ever taken Pride to downtown Burlington. And, in 2024, the political atmosphere has just been on edge in Iowa. There's been a lot of people unhappy with how things are going, and I think there's a lot of validity from both sides about, or from all sides, because there's more than two. There's a lot of validity for the unrest and frustration that people feel. But how does that manifest is really, I think, what matters. And so anyway, the entire year that we were organizing this event, promoting the event, we were so blown away with how well Burlington embraced it. I mean, it was really moving. And that continues to today, and I want this to be on record that not a single petition was filed for protesters at Pride. And we were really nervous. We weren't sure what to expect, and so that was incredible. That felt like such a win. And we were able to take that momentum and actually start the nonprofit, and now we're able to, dream a little bit bigger with that. And all of the work that I do ties together into wanting to make the world better than we found it, and wanting to improve people's lives. And I don't mean that in some big nebulous concept, not these big empty promises. I really look at it as everyone's deserving of knowing that they can retire comfortably. Everyone is deserving of knowing that if they get sick, they will be taken care of and it won't financially ruin them. I think that everyone's deserving of having access to public education, high quality public education, and that people deserve to be paid for their time, because there's so many skilled people out here doing amazing work that is not seen and valued as it should be. And people should be able to enjoy their lives. I mean, holy cow, you should be able to feel rested and joyful and connected and be inspired and be challenged and explore. I mean, there's so much to life. And I think that people are deserving of having access to that. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it to drink. So I'm not trying to force anything on anyone. That goes against all of my principles, but I'm excited anyway to be in all of these different positions where I can help provide that and work toward everyone having equal access to those things, and then also being able to provide them for communities. And I'm really hopeful that someday we'll look back on this archive and we will be able to see just how far we've come.
Absolutely. That's perfect. We're seeing the ripple effect start with all of these things that we're starting right now. So I agree. I can't wait to look back on this someday.
Right? It's happening right now. As Amy Moiner says, it's happening. Yes, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, there's so many people here they just have wonderful energy, wonderful ideas, wonderful vision and execution. Like the Avengers, the team is assembled. So now it's just a matter of doing.
And we can see it, absolutely.
Yep. And you're a part of that.
Trying.
You are, you're doing it. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and what all you've done for the community.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm like, what a wonderful project.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.